Hi everyone, my name is Fabiana and today I'll be making this beautiful vest that I'm wearing right now. I made this checkered vest on my Sentro machine 48, but you can be using your Addi Express or you can be using your Sentro 40 as well, because we're going to be making a few panels to build this vest. I'm using here this yarn, the same yarn of the Red Heart Super Saver in America and the Spotlight Saver in Australia. It's the same exact yarn because I know, because I was using the same yarn in Australia as well. So it's gonna be like around 400 grams of this yarn in two different colors of your choice. You can choose any color you want. And probably that's gonna be enough for until a size large, okay? If you're making an extra large, consider buying 2 skeins of each. I'll be using either a circular needle to make the ribbing or a crochet hook, okay? You can make the ribbing. I still haven't decided which ribbing I'm gonna make, but I'll show you at the end. You can either make the Addi Express one. And of course your gauge calculator, because I'm gonna show you how to calculate to make the squares for this vest. Okay, so here is my vest drawing that I started with. And then the first thing you have to do is to actually measure on your body from half of your shoulder to the front and see the length you want. Removing 5 centimeters here off the bottom because we're gonna have a 5 centimeters ribbing, okay? So measure on yourself, taking this 5 centimeters of the length on the bottom, how long you want this part to be, okay? We will be making this vest in 6 panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the back, okay? They're gonna have the same width, which means they're all gonna have the same number of stitches, and then the rows are gonna change a bit because I want to make this one in the middle with a little less rows, just because I have the cut for the neck here. So I decided to build this vest this way because I wanted to make it for any size. So you can probably make still 2XL, 3XL, I think, for this vest. So I wanted it to be like, you know, size friendly. So that's why I did it. So I measure on myself and I want it 45 centimeters long for this one. I'm a size medium, okay? If you want this pattern calculated for any other size, I'm gonna sell the pattern on my Etsy shop, and I'm gonna put the link down on the description below so you guys can have it already calculated if you don't want to go through the trouble of calculating it all, okay? So I want it 45 centimeters long. I have a gauge of 20 rows by 15 stitches. And now, if you don't have your gauge calculated and you're using another yarn, consider making a panel of 30 stitches by 30 rows, and then use this tool here to calculate the gauge. You're gonna put on top of your little square, and you're gonna see how many stitches you have, and how many stitches you have, and how many rows you have. So I have 20 by 14, okay, so 20 rows by 14 stitches. What means 20 rows for me is 20 divided by 10 centimeters means that I have 2 rows to each centimeter. Okay, now I want 45 centimeters long. So 45 times 2, which is 2 rows to each centimeter, it's 90 rows. So I'll have 90 rows going that way. Okay, because I have 3 squares and I wanted it to be a square, so you actually have to calculate to see if you're gonna have a square at the end. And so I know here that I'll have 30 rows to each square. Okay, so to get to these 30 rows, how many stitches to this side I need to have? And that's what we're gonna calculate now, okay? So I know now that I have 15 centimeters in each one of these squares going this way. And I wanna have similar, like it's not gonna be exactly the same, but it's gonna be very similar on this way. So on 15 centimeters to each one of these squares going this way. So how I'm gonna calculate that? I know that in 10 centimeters I have 14 stitches. Now I know that I want 15 centimeters to each square here. So I'm going to have 15 equals X. So what I'm going to do the proportion rule, which is this by this. So 15 times 14 will be divided by 10. Okay, that gives me, so I'm gonna calculate on the screen here for you guys to see, and that's gonna be equal to 21 stitches. Just in case, I'm going to use 22 on each, or you can even use 23. And the reason why is because we're gonna match a stitch here in the middle. Okay, so we are going to lose one stitch on this side and one stitch on the other side. So I'm using 22. Okay, so this is the way you calculate this. Okay, and now I'm gonna show you the panels. So I'm gonna have a shorter panel here and a little longer panel here that has to go over my shoulders. So I'm going to make these 2 panels first, these 2 in the middle, because I'm not gonna be decreasing or increasing or anything, they're just gonna be straight panels. I'm going to even this off to make the round neck at the end, okay? So I'm going to make a panel with 88 rows, which it's 90 total, okay, that I calculated. Of course, I'm going to add a few for the shoulders here after as well. And again, this is all calculated in the pattern, okay? So I'm going to make these 2, one for the front and one for the back, with 88 rows and 22 stitches. Okay, so every 30 rows I'm going to be changing the color. I'm gonna show you here. So these are my 2 panels, and they are a few rows shorter than the ones that are gonna go around the shoulder, and that's because I have the shoulder bit here, so I have to make them just a little longer on each side, which means 5-6 rows this longer than these ones. Okay, so I have 22 stitches by 30 rows. Okay, and then I change the color and I make 30 more, and then I made 28 more at the end, so you guys know. Okay, and I made them both exactly the same, and the reason why is because I don't have enough of the pink one. But if you want, you can do this, make this one the opposite way, so you have the checkered. So you're gonna have the pink here and 2 red, and on the back you're gonna have the opposite colors. So I'm gonna show you now. I made these 2 square ones exactly the same, like I said to you, so I already made it. And I'm gonna be showing you how I made these ones, because I'm going to decrease here a few stitches for each arm, because I didn't want this to be square because I'm making the ribbing here. If you're new to this, if you're just starting, you can make straight, but it's gonna look weird, so it's not gonna look as good. But if you just after making a vest for you and try it on and see how you go, you can make this straight as well. It's just gonna be a little longer, a little wider on your shoulders, so you're gonna have a square thing here. If you cool about that, that's cool, just make it like this, but I'm gonna show you how to decrease here, okay? So we're gonna be making this panel first. They are both mirrored, so you have one panel you're gonna decrease on the beginning and one you're gonna decrease at the end of the row, okay? So I'm gonna be showing you this one right now. So let's cast on for our first panel, which is gonna be the side ones. Okay, and you should make the middle one first, okay? So you know if the size is good, and then you can go ahead and make the rest of them. So make the two middle ones first, and then see if the size is good for you, and then start making the side ones, which is the one that I'm making now. So cast on with the waste yarn. I'm using waste yarn to every single panel to make it easy to just grab the stitches when we are going to make the ribbing. And so with the yarn in and out of the pegs, one in the front, one on the back, as we always do, for 22 needles in this case. Here I have 22, okay? What I'm going to do on this last peg here, I'm going to put behind the peg, underneath this lip here, and inside the yarn guide. And here I'm using wax, in case you wonder, and that's because this Red Heart Super Saver is a little too thick, so this helps a lot to make the yarn go through the machine easier. And now to make my way back, see the yarn's behind the peg and underneath the lip, I'm just gonna make my way back this way, and that first needle is gonna grab the yarn this way, and then just keep going. And I'm making 4 rows with the waste yarn, okay? Now to finish this, just so you know, I'm using the tube mold. I never use the panel mold because I control where I stop manually, okay? And I like that because I can then count the needles, so I have from 1 to 22 there, okay? Here I already have okay, so I'm making 30 rows with the red one. Place the yarn right in front of the first needle that I'm working with. I'm gonna leave a longer tail so I can match a stitch with this tail after. So leave around a meter. I like a meter, and then you can use this same tail to make the mattress stitch in between the panels after. And now just go ahead and make 30 rows with this yarn. So I made here 30 rows with the red, and then I made 15 rows, and I stopped here at the end with the pink, okay? So how you count the rows in case you don't know? Here, see there's little knots. Each one of them is 2 rows. So you just count the knots on each edge, and then you know how many rows you have, okay? So I have 15 here, And now I'm going to row number 16. I'm going to make this row all the way until I have 3 stitches left on the other side. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure the last peg grabs that yarn, okay? And then I'm gonna put the yarn to the side, and these 3 last stitches, I'm going to decrease them for the arm cut, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure this last peg grabs the stitch, and then I'm going to release these 3 stitches from the pegs. To do that, all I need to do is just remove the yarn, so the yarn is here, and these 3 pegs are now, the loops are released, so I can grab them with my marker, my stitch marker. You can be using a small one if you want as well, or you can even use waste yarn and just pass through these 3 stitches, so they're just secure there, they're not gonna fall, and we're gonna deal with them later when we make the ribbing, okay, on the arms. So now we can come back this way, okay, place this yarn underneath this lip here to start working the next row. Okay, so we're gonna go all the way there and back. And don't forget to start counting the rows I have. This is gonna be my row number 17. What I'm doing here now, I'm going to remove the yarn. I want to decrease 5 more stitches, so I'm going to decrease 8 here on this side. So at the end of this count, I should have 14 stitches left on my pegs, okay, after decreasing all the armpit cut. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, release the stitches, and then with my crochet hook I'm going to grab the 3 last stitches, place them in my crochet hook this way, start working my way back until this needle is halfway up as you can see, and then I'm going to remove the 3rd stitch from the hook. I'm gonna put this 2nd stitch back in, and then the 3rd stitch back on top of it, and this 1st stitch in that very next peg. So this is how it's looking like right now. There's 2 loops here that I'm going to work together, so I decrease 1 stitch. So I'm going to be doing this 5 times. Every time I go there and back, I'm going to repeat this same thing. So to decrease 8 stitches, I have 3 here, and plus 5 each 2 rows, 1, I'm gonna decrease 1 at this end here. So when you start making the row, make sure these 2 loops are way down on the bottom of that peg, because they tend to stay up, and that way you're gonna lose stitches. So that's just how it's gonna look like this. And then make your way all the way to there and back. Don't forget, you need to after decreasing, you should have only 2 rows more to do after decreasing. So you're gonna decrease almost all the way to the to finish the 30 rows that you have for the pink. And then when you change to the red, you just go straight with 14 stitches, okay? So I'll be doing that. Plus I added 6 extra rows here, so you're gonna have 36 of the red because of the shoulders. So you need them to be a little longer to go over the shoulder, this last part of the panel, okay? So here I have all my squares with the decreasing here, as you can see. Okay, I have 30 rows, and then I have 36 rows on the last one, as I said, because I need a little bit more for the shoulders on these panels, okay? So now I'm going to just release the yarn from here. Sorry about moving the machine like that. Guys, if you enjoy this content, it takes a lot for me to make each one of these tutorials for you guys, because it's a lot of calculation. So I would really appreciate if you can leave me a comment and leave me your like as well. Subscribe to my channel, that's always really helpful, and share this content with your friends if you think they're gonna enjoy making it as well. So I'm going to just cast off the stitches with waste yarn now. Okay, so now I decrease this here on the beginning of the row, which means that on peg number 1 I was decreasing stitches only on that side. So what's gonna happen now is that I'm going to decrease on the other side. Instead of, I'm going to make 16 rows, and at the end of row number 16 I'm going to remove these stitches the same way that I did on this panel, but on the other side, on then peg number 22, that's where I'm going to remove these 3 first stitches here, okay? Because I'll be decreasing only on the opposite side, so they are mirrored to each other, okay? Okay guys, so I have all my panels here now. As you can see, they're mirrored to each other. I'm going to mattress stitch this side first, and then all the way up to here. And this space is gonna be for my neck after, okay? For my neck ribbing. So I'm gonna go ahead and mattress stitch these together first, and then I'm gonna mattress stitch the other side and then the sides together this way, so I have the arm space here, as you can see. And so I have a video for the mattress stitch, and I'm gonna leave the link down in the description below, because I'll be making all this mattress stitch and coming back to you guys with the next step after this, okay? Okay, so this is how the other side looks like. I'm going to keep mattressing stitch this one, and the last 2 sides that I'm gonna make are these ones. And now getting to the shoulders, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a knot and remove the extra tails that I have. And now I'm going to seam both shoulders together. Okay, this stitch is the graft stitch, and I put this stitch online as well. It's in another video, so you guys can make it. And as you go through the stitches, you can remove the tails. And then once I have them both started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this one and then the next one this way. So it forms the same shape as the one before it. So I'm going to graft stitch both of my shoulders. And then when I finish, I'm going straight to the neck ribbing. Okay, so this is our shoulder, and when you get to the last stitch, as from this last one here, is to finish it off, and then just make a knot on the back. Okay, now make sure you try it on and see if this hole is good enough for you, if you're making any other size, okay? And see if this is enough for the shoulders as well. This is gonna be a neck that's gonna be very high, okay? So that's how it's supposed to be. And then after you repeat the same thing for the other shoulder after you try it on, okay? So this is how the vest is looking now. I decided to make all the ribbing knitted. I think the ribbing knitted looks much better than the ribbing made with crochet, but you can definitely crochet it, okay? With crochet, what you would have would be like one crochet stitch to every knitted stitch. And then getting here, every 2 rows you make 1 crochet stitch as well, okay? So this is the way you make crochet with it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab this stitch on the back, and see there's 2 stitches here. This one's curling in, so I'm gonna probably make them 2 together after, okay? But I'm going to grab all the stitches, so just slide through the needle in all the stitches on the top here until we reach the other side. Don't you love, guys, to get rid of that waste yarn every time you reach an end? I do. Okay, now getting here to this side, we are going to have to add a piece of yarn here, and I'm making this ribbing red. You can either make red or pink. It's up to you, really. I'm gonna hide these tails after. So what I'm going to do, what I would like to do here is to go on this very next stitch here and grab 1 stitch. Then I'm gonna probably skip 1 here and grab 1 more. And always in that same stitch, okay? You can as well, if it's too hard for you, you can just grab this with a hook, with a crochet hook. This is another option of making this. Like the less tails we have around, the better, because that makes your life much easier. And then here I'll have to make a knot on. Okay, and I'm going to repeat the same thing that I did here. Make sure you have around the same number of stitches on the other side, okay? And then just slide through these stitches on this side now. Now from where I finished here with the red one, I'm going to start the ribbing. So here I'm gonna make these two together just because with the mattress stitch this first one is curling to the back, so I'm gonna knit them two together. So I'm grabbing two loops, making a knit stitch there, and then put this one on the right direction. The first loop has to be in front of the second one so you can pull this stitch. Otherwise, if it's not, it's gonna be twisted. And then here I'm going to knit, okay? So I'm gonna make that same ribbing I always do. I'm gonna knit and pull. Knit one and pull one all the way around, making sure that loops are facing the right way always. So if you want just a single layer, you make around 8 rows, I think should be enough. If you want a double layer, around 15 to 16 rows, which is double, and then we're gonna seam it on the back so it doesn't show the seaming on the front. And that's about it, guys. Just repeat where you have the purl stitch, you're gonna be always making the purl. Where you have this V here, you're gonna be always knitting. Now here, make sure you add a little stitch marker where you started the row as well. I forgot to say that, so I'm doing that now. Make sure you add this marker so you know where to start casting off the stitches when you finish making all your rows, okay? Guys, I decided to just cast off after 10 rows. I like this width of ribbing for me, for the neck. So I'm just gonna, as soon as I reach that marker, that's the beginning where I started, I can start binding off the stitches. So again, just quickly showing you, because I did that a few times already in other videos, I'm going to knit them all. So be knitting all the stitches in this last row. And just binding off one by one. Now, make sure, because we are using a smaller needle, make sure you don't bind off this too tight, otherwise you won't fit your head when you finish, okay? So just leave larger loops. This first loop is important, that's a little longer, a little bigger, because that makes your ribbing as well a little more loose, okay? Now I have this last loop here, and what I'm going to do is just cut the yarn, and I'm going to use a crochet hook So guys, so this is the other sleeve that I already finished, and now I'm going to start the next one to show you guys. So I'm going to just cast on these 3 stitches on the bottom here. There we go. And then I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm going to grab my red color, and then here straight on the very next space, I'm going to put my needle through it and grab that stitch, and then on the very next one. So different than the neckline, what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to grab 2 stitches and then skip this one here. Always in that same row, okay? Just make sure it's the same row as here, and make sure you make the same number of stitches. So here I had 74 stitches, okay? So I want 74 on this side too. So I have now 2, 4, 6, 8. Skip one here, skip one row. 9. And just go around making this to then start the ribbing on the bottom. Okay, so I placed all the stitches here, and one more thing about the stitches, because we're making this ribbing and it's a 1 by 1 ribbing, it has to be a pair number of stitches, okay? So if it was, it would have to be a multiple of 3, so you know. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit this first stitch, turn this second one, and then I'm going to pull these 2 together, because these 2 here, this one and this one, they are curled inside because of the mattress stitch. So I'm going to be making them 2 together this way, because I don't wanna, it looks weird if we don't do that, okay? You can try and do and see what happens, but it doesn't look good, so I'm just gonna make them 2 together. And then this one more time, I'm going to make them together as well. Going to just knit them together. Okay? And then from here, I'm just gonna make the 1 by 1 again. All the way around. Okay, and just let me count how many rows. I think I made 5, so make sure you make the same number. 2, 4, 5. So I made 5 and then I cast them off, okay? So that's what you're gonna do on this side. And then we're gonna go and make the bottom after this, okay? Okay guys, here you go. So this is our vest right now, and our last step is to then make the bottom ribbing. So to make this bottom ribbing, just put every single stitch. It's gonna be right underneath that waist yarn, and put every single stitch in the needle. I'm gonna share for you guys, just before we finish, a few colors, as well as a few different color choices you can make, and I'm gonna share. And before we finish, make sure you subscribe and leave me your like. Leave me your comment as well. Let me know if you made it. Let me know if you have any questions as well. I always answer all the questions, so feel free to ask. Like right now, when you finish this, you can just remove the waist yarn as you go. And now I'm going to put that yarn through to start the ribbing. The ribbing, you can actually see them, so I prefer to hide them, and that's why I made them together. So I'm gonna make two together here before the end of one of the panels, and 2 together, and 2 together here with the purl stitch, and then just go all the way to the end of this panel. So on these last 2 here, I'm going to make them together again. And these 2 from the pink color together. Okay, so then as you can see, the stitches, they're hidden on the back because of the mattress. They won't show here. This is how I'm going to do in every one of the joints, okay? So for this ribbing, just make as long as you want. I'll be making around 12 rows. I like sort of like this thick. Just a little more, or maybe even the same of the neck ribbing. So guys, this is how I made at the end the ribbing. It's just exactly the same size, okay? And I tried it on. I'm gonna try it on now and show you guys. But it did fit perfect on me. It's I think the length's really good as well. I didn't want anything too long. I mean, if you want a longer vest, you can always make one more square to the bottom here, okay? And then you're gonna have something that's gonna go all the way on the bottom of your waist. And so arm shape's perfect for my arms, for my size. And on the pattern, I calculated everything for you guys, all the way from extra small to extra large, okay? So, and you can probably make this vest all the way to 2XL, just because the panels are so small. The only thing I would change a bit, and I'm gonna change all the pattern for you guys, I would make less rows here, so the neck ribbing is a little longer, like there's more space for the neck here, even though it fits, okay, it does fit, and I'm gonna show you now, but I would make this lower. Other than that, really nice and easy design to make. And once again, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it, and I see you on the next tutorial.